tie all this together, shall we have learned a lot of different techniques ranging from learning neural networks all the way down to simple techniques like k nearest neighbor. These are all different ways of solving many of the same problems, so let's try them out. Your final project for this course that should let you try a lot of these things that you have learned hands on is to take some real world data that I found of measurements of masses detected in mammograms, and we have had multiple real world doctors look at these masses and determine whether or not those masses are benign or malignant in nature. So your task is to use supervised classification machine learning techniques that you have learned in this course and pit them against each other. Try to predict whether a given mass in a mammogram is benign or malignant based on its measurement using multiple different classification techniques, and see which one does the best. Alright, I am gonna get you started by helping you to load up the data, but after that you are on your own, and if you give that a shot I will show you your opportunity, but this is your big beefy end of the course assignment, so it's your opportunity to really apply all of the stuff that we have learned in this course. Very exciting. So within your course materials you should see this mammographic masses.data.txt file that is the raw data you are going to be analyzing in this final project. If you open that up you can see what you are up here. It's just a data file of 6 columns of information, and you can see that missing data is represented by question marks. Gonna have to get rid of that missing data at some point, but we will deal with that. If you see what those columns mean and more information about the data set itself, you can get that in the names.txt file here associated with the dataset, and I will talk you thorough it shortly too, and this should give you a little bit of an overview of what you are up against. This data came from UCI repository. By the way, it's great resources for finding other data sets, so you can just play around with it and practice with it. So check that out if you have a chance. And those 6 columns represent these 6 things. One is called the bio rates assignments. That's just a measure of how confident the diagnosis was for this particular mass, and that's kind of giving away the answer, right? So that's not we call that, so we are not going to use that as part of our machine learning model for training our models. Then we have the patient's age in years. We have a number that represents the shape of the mass ranging from rounded to irregular. We have a margin that describes the mass margin from circumscribed all the way up to speculated. These are fancy words, but an important point here is that even though these are technically nominal data fields, they do have some meaning in their progression here. So we have basically gone from regular to irregular over the course of these numbers. So even though normally you want to avoid using truly nominal data, these are not entirely nominal. There is some meaning to the numbers that we are assigning to them, so we can go ahead and use them. They are better than nothing. We then have a measure of the density of the mass and the severity, which is the level we are trying to predict, benign being 0 or malignant being 1. Alright, so your assignment is to apply a bunch of different supervised machine learning classification models to this data and see which one does the best. So try using decision tree, random forest, KNN, k nearest neighbors, naive Bayes, SVM, maybe using different kernels. And if you are up for the challenge, build an actual neural network to do this using Keras. Now you will see that as in most problems, half the data is just preparing your data. So I have given you sort of a guideline to go by here. You definitely don't have to do the exact same step that I have outlined here. If you want to do your own thing, just open up a brand new notebook and start from scratch if you are up for the this. But if you want to a bit of guidance, here is a little outline of the way that I approach this problem. So you do need to start by importing it into a pandas data frame so you can manipulate and analyze that data. These are the read CSV function you can use for that, and you will want to do that a couple of things. You will find that there is missing data that you need to deal with, and you need to import columns names as well, because the column names are missing from the CSV file itself. You then can evaluate the data, take a look at it, use describe to get a feel of how it looks. You will see there is a lot of missing values. It would be a good idea to visualize the rows that have missing data somehow and convince yourself that the missing data is randomly distributed. So you are not going to introduce some sort of unintentional bias by dropping rows that are having missing data in them. Assuming that it looks okay, so go ahead and drop those missing values and you will have a nice clean data set to import into your models. Now some of these models do require the input data to be normalized, so you may as well do that upfront. You can use the pre-processing standard scalar function to do that scaling to normalize all of your data to be mean value of 0 and a standard deviation of 1, which will improve the performance of a lot of these models. And in the case of SVM, it might not even run at all without it. Start off by doing decision tree. Again, I will walk you through the basic steps involved here of implementing decision trees on this data, and you can try SVM with a linear kernel. See how that compares. We can use KNN. There's actually an implementation of KNN in scikit-learn you can use instead of doing it from scratch like we did in this course. So that would be a pretty easy to try. The beautiful thing about a scikit-learn is that all the models have sort of a common interface. So once you have done one of these, trying different models becomes pretty easy. You can also use the naive based approach to see if that can actually do a better job. And a couple of hints there. So what you need to do, SVM might be worth revisiting with different kernels than linear. That's an example of hyperparameter. So maybe you need to tune the hyperparameter of which kernel you are using with SVM to get the best results. So try RBF, try Segment, try Poly, see which kernel does best. And finally, if you are up for the challenge, you can try developing a neural network using Keras. Just a plain old multi-level perceptron should do the job here. Should not need too much, have to be deep to wide even to get decent results and see which one does the best. You should need to tune some hyperparameter before you are confident in your choice, and the results might surprise you. They are actually, I don't want to give too much away, but you might think there be a huge difference of these models, and in some cases there are, and in some cases there are not, but give it a shot. This is a good exercise. It's good to take you quite some time. It's set aside, but it's a great chance to apply everything you have learned in this course, or a lot of what you have learned to this course at least, and see if you can apply to a real world problem. Come back in the next lecture. I will show you how I tackle this and you can compare it to your results.